Good morning, everyone. Hope you're having a great Tuesday here in Los Angeles. Before we start, I'd just like to mention that this session is being recorded and will be available at the end of the week on our website. So, good morning and thank you for joining us today. I'm Olivia Rios, Director of Operations and Programs at the LA Latino Chamber. Today, we're in for a treat. This webinar will be discussing how you can create winning proposals that companies will say yes to. And we know that's really important because many of us write proposals, spend time crafting them, only to not be accepted because of a little technical issue. So our speaker today is Alexa Levy. She is the brand manager at Delta Airlines. She brings over 20 years of experience in the branding and communications arena. She has created campaigns to drive local messaging with partners, has executed multimedia marketing campaigns to launch in initiatives in various markets, and has led and executed Delta's Airlines West and Central Region and entertainment partners. And so that's not also West Coast and Central, but now on a national level. She's also worked for some reputable companies, so look her up on LinkedIn and connect. We all know that hiring a marketing expert can be quite expensive, so we hope you will take the time to gain some golden nuggets that you can apply immediately. At the end of the session, I'll be introducing Maira Braga, account executive, who will share the Sky Miles programs with you. And following her, I'll provide information on upcoming events and webinars for the near future, so stick around. So before we start, just to let you know, please mute yourself. Today's session will be interactive, so you can raise your hand or ask questions in the chat box, and I'll help guide those questions. And once again, this webinar is being recorded. It'll be available at the end of the session. So welcome, everyone. And at this time, I'd like to welcome Alexa. It's so great to finally meet you, and so we're so glad that we're having this webinar today because I believe we all want winning proposals. So welcome.
Thank you so much, Olivia. It's an honor to be with all of you, and thank you so much for taking time out of your busy days to join. So I'm going to keep this pretty informal. I'm going to, just talk for a bit, tell you more about myself, my team, what we do, some of the partners we work with. And then, as Olivia said, I really want to make this interactive. I want you guys to get out as much of as you can from the session. So, asking me questions that I will do my best to give you answers to. But again, just really want to make sure that you guys have an opportunity to engage and we can have a great conversation as well. So thanks again for joining. My team, I am based in Los Angeles, which is always a surprise to people that there's a team of Delta people in Los Angeles, and I have a couple colleagues on with me as well. Maira, who will speak later, as well as Amor, and I think Gloria's on as well. So we do have a team based in LA on the sales side. We also have some marketing colleagues, government affairs. So we do have a great matrix sort of organization in Los Angeles. My team is a mighty team of four. Three of us in LA, one of us in New York City. And as Olivia mentioned, we do support the entire country. So where we really focus on are key strategic markets for Delta. The first of which are coastal hubs, which include Los Angeles and New York, which is where my team's based, as well as Seattle and Boston. We also focus on some key other markets that are more strategic and kind of up and coming. They're not quite hubs yet, but we call them focus cities. And some of those are Austin, South Florida, Nashville. So a lot of that drives a lot of what we do. Just because something's in one of those markets doesn't mean that we necessarily do it, however. And just because something isn't in one of those markets doesn't mean that we don't do it. But I will say that a lot of our emphasis is put on where we're really looking to support the Delta brand in these markets. Our traditional hubs of Atlanta, Salt Lake, Detroit, Minneapolis, all wonderful places, but not somewhere where my team focuses, just because we're very fortunate. Those are our legacy hubs, and we've got pretty high market share in those hubs. So we do things every now and then there, but we really put our focus onto these competitive coastal hubs, that I had mentioned, LA, New York, Seattle, and Boston, as well as those focus cities. So we look at we look at partnerships. My team handles partnerships, events, and activations for the sales on the sales side. So while the sales team's rooted in their B2B business, we're really a B2B2C entity where our events and activations that come out of our partnerships are B2B2C, where we can invite end travelers, but we also want to make sure that there's a B2B element as well, which I'll talk about what that looks like. Um, we have partners, like we said, all over the country. We focus on really what's important in the market. So in Los Angeles, entertainment and production is our biggest corporate travel vertical. So that's where a lot of our partnerships lie. But it doesn't mean that that's the only place where they can be, as we have partners in various different sectors. In Seattle, our partners are more on the tech side. And they have, so that's an important part of what we do in Seattle from a corporate travel standpoint. Boston and New York, again, it kind of varies. Some fashion in New York. We're looking at some partnerships on Broadway, and in Boston we do some things around sports. As Boston sports are such a big part of that market. So again, it's really agnostic to the market. We look at it through the lens of what's important to the market, what's important to the sales team. So Maira is on our LA sales team. She recently moved into a new role. And so if I'm looking at, at an event where it might be something that involves her customers, I want to make sure it's something that she's feels is a good value and it's something that she could utilize. That's really where the B2B side comes in, because we want to make sure that what we're doing in the market is something that can also enhance what the sales team is doing with their customers. So that's a really, really important part of what we do. We also, when we do look at a partner, we also want to look at who are their other partners. Are they already corporate customers of ours? Are they already flying with us? If they're not, how do we get them into the Delta ecosystem, and get them a part of our airline? So that's one of the big criteria I look at when I'm looking at partnerships. What's the B2B opportunity for the sales team, either through networking at an event, or if it's just even brand awareness alongside some of these other brands. We always at Delta, our brand beliefs are that we're welcoming, elevated, and caring. And we're always, when I'm evaluating partners and events and all those sorts of things, I want to make sure that those brand beliefs come through, not only with the partner, with the other partners they have, and then also with the event or activation that's coming out of that relationship. So that's one part of what I look for. We also look for what are the branding and messaging opportunities. We don't want to just slap a logo somewhere and call it a day. We want to be able to have, the ability to message attendees, whether it's an activation, or if it's, messaging via a newsletter or some other, social. We don't place a huge emphasis on social on my team, since we're on the sales side, because on the marketing really runs our social platforms, and they run it from a very from a brand standpoint. So we don't really do a lot on the social side, as that content's really curated by the marketing team. But but we do look at a lot of digital opportunities. We look at again, opportunities at the event. Is there a way that we can message attendees and really get the Delta brand out in the right way? And then the third part of what we look for is what's the experience, and can we use that to entertain and engage our customers, whether they are corporate customers, corporate travel managers, travel agencies, B2B customers, or our B2C end travelers. So we really want to, we know that people have the opportunity, especially, in these markets, to attend some cool things. So when we're looking at signing on for an event, what's that experience? What does that look like? Will people be excited to attend? Is this something different or something new, or just, a really cool thing that they'd like to be at? So that's kind of the third part, is what's that experience that we provide. I'm happy to take questions. I don't know, Olivia, if that's hard right now, or should we keep going? I think you're on mute.
Yeah. Let me look at the questions real quickly, see if there's any. I don't see any at the
Okay,
moment. Hmm.
we'll keep going.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, what was number one? I see Rick. Number one is the B2B networking sort of opportunity. So that's the who are the other brands? Who are the other partners? Are they businesses or brands that our team can work with to be able, to either deepen their relationship or start a new relationship? If it's a brand or a company that isn't already in our corporate travel ecosystem. So it's the B2B networking side, the branding and messaging elements, and then the event hospitality experience is the third one. All right, you're welcome, Rick. Okay.
Thank you.
And I'll try to look at questions too if I can. And then, so I wanted to kind of talk about who do we work with? Delta is a global brand. We've got a lot of different groups that do partnerships. And I know sometimes that's really challenging, right? When you're trying to pitch someone and you're not getting to the right person. I get it a lot on my end, and I'm sure when you're trying to find the right people, it's definitely a challenge. We have different, we have partnerships on our loyalty team. So our Sky Miles team has their partners like Uber and YouTube. We just announced a new partnership with 60, the rental car company. So they have partners. Our sponsorship team on the marketing side has partners. So those are the more traditional sports partnerships that you see. So in LA, we sponsor the Lakers, we sponsor the Kings, we sponsor Crypto.com Arena. Those are partnerships that are managed by our sponsorship marketing team. And to make things even more confusing, we execute on a lot of those deliverables on my side. But those are, it just adds, unfortunately, to the confusion because I know sometimes it's just really hard to break through and figure out who does what, and who's the right person to reach out to. So I will say I do my best to answer every email I receive. Even if I'm not the right person, I'll let you know I'm not the right person. I won't. I'm not able to send you to the right person, but I can at least let you know that it's not me, and but thanks for reaching out. And I just want to always try to answer everything, just so I don't leave people hanging, because I know that you're working really hard to get your proposals in front of the right people. So like I said, so we've got, some bigger partners on, from our different teams and on my team as well. But like I said, because we're a part of the sales team and we're a little more locally based, that's kind of where our partnerships can be a little more, I don't want to say strategic, but they're a little more localized. And we're really promoting things from what's important to Los Angeles, and we're looking at event by event to make sure that we're promoting the right product, the right, if there's a new route that we can promote. And those are things that we're just always making sure that we're looking at the right partner to promote that as well. So in Los Angeles, we do work with some smaller food and wine festivals, which are great. Even, we don't need to have, we do work, we are, an official partner of the Academy of Motion Pictures. So we're involved with the Oscars. So we have those kind of partners on my team, but we also have, but not every partnership has to be, that sort of level. But again, it still has to fall within our welcoming, elevated, and caring guidelines, branding guidelines that we really aspire to. So we do Manhattan Beach Food and Wine, an amazing event that just started last year, run by someone we've known, in the LA market for a while, put together an incredible event. We've jumped on again for this year. And again, that's a great opportunity to be a part of something, with their giving back and supporting so many great organizations and restaurants in the market. But we're also, have a great brand alignment with some other good companies that support it, and it's a really fun experience. So we get the great hospitality to invite our customers to. Up north, San Francisco is not a huge market for us, but we do have I have a teammate up there, so we do invest some resources up there as well. So we support the Sonoma International Film Festival, which again is it attracts. We have a couple team members that are able to entertain their customers. really good alignment with a great brand in the film festival, and then also the opportunity to, to meet those other sorts of, brands up north in San Francisco, where I know it's not one of my coastal hubs, but we do, that's a place where, we do try to do some smaller sorts of activation and things in the market. It's a United market. We know that we're never going to compete with United in San Francisco, but if, we can do some things that, um, we can do to, to entertain and take care of our customers up there, because we do have big customers like Google and Uber and Salesforce. So, that's another thing that really drives what we do is where are some of these important customers. Like I said at the beginning, just because it's in one of my main markets doesn't mean we'll do it, and just because it's not doesn't mean we won't. So San Francisco is kind of an example of that, where we'll look to, put some resources behind some partnerships there as well. We also, we support the Pantages here in LA. An amazing, legendary venue, and a place that we're just so glad to have our name. So that's, so it's not just, an event. We support venues as well. Again, and that's really from a branding and hospitality standpoint, something that we're really glad to have, because of the Broadway shows that come here. And again, just having that sort of entertainment possibility, for our customers outside of all of the great sporting events that we support as well. I see some questions going in. I'm happy to,
Yeah, I just saw that right
yeah.
now. Hold on one second. Oh, to new. Okay. So we'll start with okay. What would be the most effective B2B strategies in your experience for building meaningful partnerships?
So I would say, I think a key part of what we do with our B2B on the B2B side of our partnerships are again, those introductions and those connections that can be made are really important. So we've got some amazing partners that really, go out of their way to make sure that we're meeting the right people, from other brands at our events that we're sponsoring, and they really take a big part of what they do, and you can't, that's not a deliverable that you can really, track against, but it's definitely something we look for, that sort, because it's much easier for them and more organic, of an introduction, when they, bring us up to meet someone, instead of us, walking around trying to find the right people. And it goes a long way to have that sort of person, who's at the event, or at, that's the partner, being able to, they know the right people, they know their brands and their partners. So from a B2B space, those networking opportunities and those connections that are forged through the partner are really important and really meaningful.
Yeah. Thank you. Another question. Could you share what types of partnerships you usually have with small companies, specifically in Los Angeles? Also, what kind of agreements can we typically expect?
So it depends. I mean, we'll support, we have a community engagement team as well. So that's another, on the nonprofit side. That's another area. I think I saw a question about that we can go into down the road. And sometimes we'll support, some of, their partners as well with other sorts of activations that we do locally. We do, I will say our agreements, they used to be pretty rigorous. We do have a new way of processing them and getting them in, to our partners, where it is a streamlined language, and it's an email approval, which is, something that our supply chain team worked really hard on, because they knew we're trying to do so many things in the market, and jump onto events, and we just don't always have the time to be able to wait for those sort of things. So that's definitely something that we've worked on and trying to streamline. We work with, the LA Sports and Entertainment Commission as well. That's like an entity organization that we work with. We just recently took over that partnership and sponsorship, as that had been a legacy American Airlines partner, for a really long time. So we are now the official airline of the LA Sports and Entertainment Commission. And that's a really exciting partner for us as well, to really get local, meet people, especially from a B2B perspective, again, my boss is on the advisory board, so he's meeting lots of key contacts in the LA market and expanding, again, the Delta reach within that group as well. Um, when you say smaller, I think smaller depends on a lot of different things. Smaller, like I said, for us, just because it's smaller doesn't mean it's not impactful. Like, like I said, Manhattan Beach Food and Wine is definitely one that's it's a 600 person event. It's not a 10,000 person game or something else, but it's a really impactful event for us,
Mhm.
because of the audience that's there, the partners that are there, the experience that it provides. And that's really what I'm looking at, when I'm evaluating partners. It's really not, it sounds so cliche to say quality over quantity, but it's definitely true, in that space. We do some things, as well with other, in the food and the culinary space, because that's also such a big part of Delta. We talk about it on board, our onboard product and our elevated food. So that's something that we take and bring that into, a lot of our activations as well.
Okay. Thank you. There's a couple more questions. So, what size event do you consider ultimately a good fit? I'm a travel advisor and planning travel events with cruise and tours like happy hours, lunch, and learns. These type of events are these type of events within your branding area?
So sorry, can you repeat the beginning of it again, Olivia?
Oh,
Sorry.
it's okay. What size event do you consider ultimately a good fit? That's the first.
Yeah, no, it really depends. I mean, like I said, it can be something, with a few hundred people, and it can be something with thousands. It kind of, the size isn't always as important as the audience, for us. So again, we're really looking at, is the guest and the attendee going to be someone that'll fly on Delta?
Mhm,
And that's really what we're looking at when we're looking, because if we have, 10,000 people that, don't aren't our demographic, then it doesn't really matter. I'd rather have, 50 that are. And we do sponsor some, meaningful, we sponsor some happy hours. We do that sometimes at some events that we look at. It kind of depends on, again, the event, but that's definitely something we do look into, with some of our media partners. We do that, with Variety. We sponsored their sports and entertainment event last year, sponsored their green room. So sometimes we'll sponsor a space, or a happy hour or something like that. We work with LA 84 as well, on our side, and we sponsor, some of their events, and again, kind of work to fit, what our sponsorship is with some of their programming that aligns really well, whether it's programmatic or more event focused.
okay. Next question. How do you measure success?
Great question. So we really look at the end. I mean, we don't. It depends on, what sort of activation we have. If we have the ability to activate and get people to sign up for Sky Miles, that's really a big part of what we look at, because we want to bring people into the Delta ecosystem. And Sky Miles is the one of the easy, it's low lift. And it's really a really great way to start. And what we see in our funnel is, once you become a Sky Miles member, you keep going into the marketing funnel and start flying with us, and then maybe fly more, and then eventually have status. Then you might get our co-branded credit card, so it just deepens the engagement with the brand.
Mhm,
And that's why Sky Miles is a big part of what we do. We also promote the app, our Fly Delta app. So again, these are like really key B2B2C strategies that we do at our events. So we really look at those sort of metrics on the back end,
mhm,
and what that sort of engagement level was. I mean, we'll go to some events where, you'll have maybe 500 attendees, and you'll have 300 people will have, signed up for Sky Miles, or given us their Sky Miles information to participate in an activation, which is great. So we definitely look at that, from a statistical standpoint. We also anecdotally, We sit down again with the sales team after an event, do a bit of a debrief and just talk about how are the introductions, how are those those B2B connections, were they meaningful? Is this, did we feel like this event, or the partnership was on the same level that we had come into it, and was it executed in a way that we felt was in the right vein of our brand too, because that's really important. So we'll definitely look at it from an anecdotal standpoint as well. And then, we want to also hear from our customers who experienced it. Did they enjoy it? Is it something that they would want to do again? And look at it from that angle as well, because that's really important.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. I
Mhm.
did see that, it's all around B2B and B2C, and there really has to be an initiative for Delta to be able to support because it has to be a win-win
Right.
situation. Yeah. Okay. Wow. We have a lot of questions. Do you have any partnerships with nonprofits for the Rose Bowl in Pasadena?
I do not, and I don't know. Myra, thank you. I saw you put in something about community engagement in the chat. Our pillars for community engagement are education, equity, and environment. And then we also we support the military as well. So the three E's, and the military are really where our community engagement team focuses their efforts and their resources and funding on.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I do not know that we have any relationship with the Rose Bowl. I haven't been involved in anything there. I know, we work closely with a lot of um, our community engagement partners. But we don't, again, that's really up to them on where they decide to invest.
Yeah, and that kind of goes through to the next couple questions. Someone was wondering if you have plans to offer or include networking events for the expansion of their company. So it all has to fall within your pillars. And that also addresses the question of any nonprofit organizations or galas that you support. So it also has to be win-win. And, I guess, the chamber also follows our four pillars, and it's really key to everything that we do. And I'm thinking much the same for Delta. So let's see, we have a couple more. Um, it's unclear to me. Okay. Uh, Someone's asking, do you sponsor magazines with the tourism section? I guess,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
more of a media team. Yeah, our media team. Again, that's something I'm happy to share with them, but not something I have direct purview over.
Yeah.
That's a marketing function.
And in some areas, I guess there are questions directed to you directly. I know at the end of the presentation, you'll be sharing your email. So if they have a specific question, they can reach out to you, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, all right. I'm trying to go through these real quickly. Let's see. Maida did respond. So here's someone. This is a good question. How would I pitch a product for the airlines to use on board for passengers with disabilities?
So we have a disability council
Mm.
at Delta that I have. Again, I've gotten some outreach from people that do have ideas around accessibility and disability on for our on our planes and in the airports and that sort of thing. So that we do have I have a relationship with that team, and again,
Mhm.
that's something that I'm happy to share with them and get their thoughts on, and take back and see if it's something. It might be something we're already working on. Again, I don't have direct purview into all of the projects,
Mhm.
but no, absolutely. We want those are definitely things that can come my way. I'm happy to share
Mhm.
with our disability council and see if it's something that they're interested in, or if it's something, like I said, it could be something they're already working on.
Yeah. So Maida did post a Delta Supply and Diversity Program. So for anyone who's on this webinar, if you can scroll down and you could click on the supplier diversity platform to see how you can engage or Delta can engage with some of the initiatives you have going on, as well as connect to the Delta charity giving request. So it's Delta sponsorship or charitable giving request. Those are to be submitted. So some of these questions are kind of offline, like how do they connect with you? So again, we'll share your information at the end. But I'd like to get back to the topic of how, for corporations to say yes to a proposal, what are some other key suggestions that you can provide for attendees today.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I get a lot of proposals that, they say, "Well, tell me what you want and I can make whatever you want." And
Mhm.
if it's something I've never worked in, if it's a brand new partner, which it usually would be, that's that's not always, the easiest way for me. That actually makes it harder on me because I then have to go research and see what you guys have done. For me, it's like I like to have the flexibility. I think there's a really good balance between getting something that can be flexible, but I also want to hear what has worked in the past. What have you done? Have you done something with an airline in the past? Have you done something with a travel partner in the past? Again, not just to replicate, but I want to know what's been successful because I don't know, you know your event, the potential partnership best. And while I, understand and appreciate the okay, we can build this however you want it,
Mhm.
that's not always the most helpful thing for me. I think I want to hear from you. You know your brand best, and have a conversation about what makes sense and how we can get there together.
Okay. So a lot of that can be viewed at, I guess I'm going to go back to what Maida posted on supplier diversity. It looks like a lot of people are wanting to connect to either sponsors, support, but once again, we're going back to the post that folks can look up, which is the supplier diversity and the charitable giving request. So, Maida, those are on the chat. Can you resurface those real quickly?
Yes, absolutely.
Mhm.
So, on addition to Alexa team that manage the brand and sponsorship proposals, we also have two different teams that should touch on it. One is the supplier and diversity. So
Mhm.
they are responsible to hire all the vendors for Delta. So that means to big vendors like aircraft, but also smaller vendors like catering companies. And then it goes throughout the question of the onboarding service. So let's say you want to offer your company to have your product on our onboard. Let's say you have a coffee, some sort of drink, snacks. All of that requests will go through our supplier and diversity team. So they're responsible to analyze the vendors and hire those vendors um, for Delta. So if you're interested to sell your product to us, you can go on the Supply and Diversity portal that I post on the chat. Over there, it has a big list of all the products that we usually hire. Um, then you can see if your product makes a match and submit the proposal through there. Um, I think was 2 years ago, we also did a webinar with our suppliers team where they taught what type of regulations, business products that we are looking that we could pitch for Delta. So I'll also drop that link on the chat. And the other team that we have, it's community engagement. So community engagement, it's responsible to do all the actions throughout our community. And that could be fundraising, helping with educational programs, helping with different councils. So if you follow under a nonprofit organization and you'd like to ask support from Delta, you can happy send your information through the link that I share with community engagement. And then this team is going to be responsible to analyze the proposal and see if we can sponsor or partner with your organization.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, that kind of covers a lot of the questions that are on here with because it seems like everyone's looking for support in some form or another, but we need to, kind of stay on course to crafting a proposal that not only fits, Delta, but obviously other organizations. So I know you answered this earlier, Alexa, but someone's asking, I guess the basics, the one, two, threes again. What are the basics of crafting a proposal that needs to be included for Delta? And I know you talked about the B2B networking opportunities, um, the experience, kind of elaborate on the experience that Delta will receive, as well as it being mutually beneficial, that something is given back. So it's not just showing up and supporting, but it's also, how Delta can gain clients, correct?
Right, exactly. That's definitely a part of it, as well as to your point, Olivia, the experience, and again, making sure that it's a welcoming, caring, and elevated experience, just like we provide to our customers on board and at the airport. So those are both very key things. And it's also, like I said, how do we message attendees or different members of the partner group? Again, from a more of a B2C standpoint, promoting a new route, promoting a new product. We have a beautiful new terminal at LAX that we have recently completed with the opening of our Delta One Lounge last fall. We have an amazing facility to promote as well as our onboard product. So those are we definitely want those opportunities we need to have when we're looking at proposals to make sure that we have a meaningful way to promote the brand and not just putting it on a step and repeat. Now, you'll see the Delta brand on a step and repeat. Don't get me wrong, we don't not do that, but
Mhm.
we also are looking for other ways to deepen the engagement outside of just that. Um, I saw a question, I think Rosie asked about Manhattan Beach food and wine. Rosie, I'm happy to and vendors. I'm happy to if you want to send me. I know I'll share my email as well. Um, what your gifts are. I'm happy to share it with the festival owner and see if it's something he's interested in. Their vendors are more on the because it's just an evening event for 2 nights, so it's not as much of a as a kind of a like a retail sort of festival. It's more the booths are the chefs in their restaurants, but I'm happy to take your information to our partner at the festival.
Mhm. Oh, that's great to know. And, there's a lot of insights. So, when Delta supports an event, let's take the Redondo Beach Festival, right? So you come in as a supporter to not only support maybe financially, but also to gain some takeaways, right? And it's going to be who's going to want to experience or have the Delta experience. So when we talk about win-win, can you elaborate um, on your requirements for supporting maybe a chamber event, this food festival or
Right.
wine festival? What's the key takeaway that someone who's on today's webinar should go through? So if you can take us through a quick example of maybe an event that you've supported, and what was the determining criteria that said, yes, let's support this event?
So I would say that like I said, the most important thing, couple important things, is really that the level of the event. We everything that we do has to fall within. I'm sorry if I'm a broken record, but welcoming, caring, and elevated. So the event has to be of a certain nature so that it aligns with our brand. Because the Delta brand, and as stewards of the brand, we're always we're responsible to make sure that the brand is aligned with the with the right partner and the right experience as well. So that's a definite. And sometimes look, we look at things and we think it's going to go one way, and it doesn't quite live up to the standards that we had set. So and we understand that. And that's, when you said, how do you measure success, or if I look at renewing a deal, again, that's something we discuss. And a lot of times, if we don't feel like we got the right experience, then we'll move on from the partner.
Mhm.
But we do sponsor, like I said, we work with companies and with events where we'll if they're doing like at Sonoma at the film festival, we have a lounge space that's the Delta, the Delta lounge space. Again, that's something we've actually done here too as well. We did that at Ultimed's Food and Wine Festival a few years ago, where we took over their lounge space in downtown LA. So that's a really, again, it's the right sort of audience that we have, where we can be a small part instead of, again, just putting our logo all over. We can have meaningful opportunities. We have our sales team in the lounge. We have them talking with people, again, they're able to meet people, deepen relationships. And then we're also able to invite our own customers to enjoy, the festival and the lounge opportunity. So having that sort of, again, brand alignment with not only the event but the experiences within the event, is what I'll look at to see if that's something that I want to, that I want to sponsor and partner on. It's not a must have. I mean, if the event doesn't have that sort of activation layered in, that doesn't mean I'm not interested, but that is definitely a really good way for us to be able to expand the brand in that sort of environment as well.
Okay. So, is there any last minute questions we'd like to address before we have Maida come on and talk about the perks for business programs?
Olivia, can I ask a quick question?
Hold on. Who is?
Tony.
Well, I saw your question there.
Oh,
Yeah. So there's a couple more questions. So how do you track? That's something that you can talk to with Maida directly about.
Sorry. Tony, I see your question.
So how do you track an event or sponsors? Do you engage? Do you provide custom links to provide the
Yeah.
companies you sponsor? I know for a fact there isn't. I think that would be more of a Maida question.
Yeah, exactly. From a discount and
Mhm.
that sort of thing. That's definitely more of a Myra question. Tony, I did see your note about the
Yeah, I can go through it. So Alexa mentioned like there are a lot of like the sponsorships that we do. We do a partnership between her team on tailoring which proposals that we're gonna accept and how we're gonna do those activations. But then we include the sales team to be there at the event. And how do we track as part of like a sales team? So we have different metrics. So one of the key factors for us is always like networking. So our idea is to meet with potential customers that we're gonna fly Delta, and we can communicate with those customers and present the different programs that we have. So those programs, and I will talk a little bit about them in my presentation. So making them to become a Sky Miles member, a Sky Miles for Business member, get the credit card, and then of course fly with Delta. So we have some parameters in the sales team on how we can follow up with those people that we met. Are they becoming a corporate customers for us? Are they becoming a leisure customers for us? And going to the different type of products that we have. And then after the event, we always brainstorm in our team what type of people we met, what type of programs were we able to offer, and then we track that. So I will give an example of our participation in the business travel expo that we have. So the Latino Chamber organized for the first time their trade show last year. So we decided, okay, let's participate. And then during this trade show, we met with hundreds of people from different industries, different interests. And we have not just Delta, but we also have our airline partners, Mexico, Latam. So in this event, we did two different type of activations. One was to present Delta products, and of course, our goals was people to fly on us. And the other activation was related with our supplier and diversity product, where we participate in a roundtable for people to pitch their products to Delta, and then we hire those vendors as our suppliers. So in terms of the sales side, the way we were able to measure that, so we were able to calculate how many people that attended the event that became a Sky Miles member, how many companies enroll for the Sky Miles for Business program, how many people sign up for the Amex credit card. We even got quotes, for example, now we have a private aviation company of people interested in fly on private aviation. And then on the terms of the supplier side, the idea is that we're not just promoting our products, but also giving back to the community and the Latino community. It's extremely important for us, and we want to support those businesses. So after the event that we have with the chamber, we were able to get a few companies actually hire, and then those companies became vendors to Delta. So that's how we were participating in the event. And then for this year, we said, for sure, we definitely want to participate again. and also have those like two ways. We want to promote our products. Of course, we want people to fly with us, but we also want to support the community. And then is the relationship that we're going to have through our supply and diversity, community engagement, sales team, that we want to give back to the community as well, and have like the full chain of people flying on us, but also we support their business as well.
Thank you. Thank you. Because you actually addressed a couple of questions that were in the chat. So you did it in a nice, full, comprehensive
Yeah.
way. So what if,
Olivia, sorry, can I jump in just quickly?
yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to kind of add on to what Maira said, and I think that's really important is that it's not just my team. Like I said, we have a lot of different teams at Delta. It's not just my team that looks at these partnerships. Like Maira's partnership with the Expo last year, my team, I'm sure we supported with some branding and activation elements, but just because it wasn't our team's partnership, I mean, it doesn't mean that it doesn't fit another Delta team. So I think that's something to keep in mind as well. I don't want you to feel like, just because I've talked about certain things or certain events, that it's not something that we would never do at Delta. We have a lot of different groups, even just on the sales side, that from our, our specialty sales team to our LA sales team to our cargo sales team, not to mention all of our marketing teams as well. So I just want to emphasize that I don't want anyone to feel like things are very, it has to fall within all these things. That could be for my team, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't, there's not other exposure within Delta that we can give proposals to see if it's a better fit for their team. So I just want to make sure that's clear as well.
No, that is, let's see, we have one last questions. So how are funds for community events and festival being affected because of companies pulling back on DEI initiatives?
So we haven't pulled back at all. We've been very vocal that we very heavily support D&I. So we haven't pulled back. I can't speak for other companies, but I know on our side that this is not something that's been impacted because we have kept our support where it's been and we'll keep it that way and have been really vocal about that as well.
Okay. No, thank you. That really adds because, whether you claim to be a DEI company or not, there's diversity everywhere, whether it's part of your mission statement or not. Most organizations are diverse in some capacity, so we need to make sure that everyone is kind of tapped into, so that would be great. So what would be your takeaway for our attendees today?
So I definitely want to thank you guys all for taking the time. Again, I don't want it to feel like that things have to fall within, very, stringent guidelines to send a proposal to me. I want it to be, I want you to, to be flexible, but I also want you to I also want to see what do you think would be best for Delta? What do you think would be best for based on your knowledge and your relationship with your event and your partners.
Mhm.
And how, now that you know what's important to me, how can we see those through lines, in all different parts of from start to finish, of whether it's an event, it's an activation, it's a partnership, and where we can really see those three big parts of what I've talked about, where we can see those come through. I also want, please, like, and just be with what you're looking for, whether it's, cash or whether it's a flight trade, which is also something we do our deals in. Be upfront with that ask, and be strong with that ask, and be able to put a value behind it. We really look at things closely and want to make sure that what we're giving, that everything's valued in the right way. So have that ready, but also have the information behind it ready as well. And just know that, be patient. I know it's not the easiest thing. Again, I'm have a team of 4, and we're all pretty, we're stretched, but like I said, I try to answer every email I receive. So I look forward to getting a lot of emails from all of you. I will get to them as soon as I can. And again, if it's something that might be a better fit for one of our other teams, or another group at Delta, it's definitely not something I just say thanks but no thanks and walk away. We want to make sure that if it's something that's looked at, if it feel like it's something that would work for us, but it might just work for another team.
Okay. Well, thank you. I know that there's going to be folks who are going to want your email address. If you don't mind putting that into the chat, that'd be
Sure.
great. Or or we could do it. And then, yeah, so be ready to be overwhelmed. So on that note, I want to thank you, Alexa, for sharing all the information. I'd like to thank everyone for joining us today. Keep in mind that the chamber is run through support of a lot of businesses, and we appreciate all of our members and the community for attending. You know, we do strive to be we're not the chamber for everyone, but we are indeed a chamber for those who are willing to scale and learn. And so together we can only, prosper together. So on that note, I thank everyone and have a safe and lovely Tuesday morning.